The sun rose over a quiet suburban street, casting long shadows across the pavement. Asashi Kashiwagi woke up to the annoying buzz of his alarm clock ringing on his bedside table. He rubbed his eyes, feeling a strange sense of déjà vu about the day ahead. The morning news broadcast mentioned a rare planetary alignment occurring later that evening. Asashi rushed out the door, barely catching his breath as he checked his watch. At the first corner, a girl with short blue hair collided directly into his chest. They fell in a tangled heap of limbs and school bags. Aoi scrambled to her feet, her face turning a deep shade of crimson. She didn't say a word before sprinting away toward the school gates. Asashi stood up, wondering why she looked so familiar, yet so distant. His second encounter happened just minutes later at the local park fountain. A tall girl with long blonde hair was trying to rescue a cat from a tree. The branch snapped, and she fell straight into Asashi's waiting arms. For a moment, time seemed to stop as they locked eyes. She slapped him out of pure reflex and ran off without a word. By the time he reached the school, Asashi felt like he had lived a whole week. The classroom was buzzing with news of several new transfer students. The door slid open, revealing the first girl he had met that morning. Asashi nearly fell out of his seat when she was introduced as Aoi Izumisawa. One by one, the other girls from his morning accidents entered the room. Even the mysterious teacher who had helped him with directions was there. They all looked at him with a mix of recognition and hidden intentions. After classes ended, Asashi tried to slip away unnoticed. He was stopped by a boyish student who had been watching him all day. The student explained that they were all under special government protection. Asashi didn't understand what he could possibly have to do with the government. He walked home slowly, his head spinning with the day's bizarre events. The neighborhood seemed much quieter now than it did in the morning. He reached his front door and reached for his keys. To his shock, the door was already unlocked and slightly ajar. He stepped into the entryway, noticing several pairs of unfamiliar shoes. Delicious smells of cooking drifted from the kitchen toward him. In the living room, all 5 transfer students were sitting around his table. "Welcome home, Asashi," they all shouted in perfect unison. He dropped his bag, convinced he was dreaming or hallucinating. Aoi stepped forward and handed him a stack of official-looking documents. These papers stated that Asashi was now the legal guardian of all 5 girls. More than that, the documents described them as his potential brides. They each began to unpack their belongings as if they had lived there forever. Just as he began to protest, a strange glitch flickered across the corner of his vision. Far above the earth, a massive satellite adjusted its sensors to focus on his house. A computer screen on the satellite displayed Asashi's heart rate and emotional state. A robotic voice confirmed that the first phase of the experiment was proceeding as planned. Back in the living room, Asashi looked at the smiling faces of the girls around him. He wondered why he felt a deep, aching sadness when he looked at Aoi. Outside, the planetary alignment began, and the sky turned a deep, unnatural shade of red. Suddenly, all the electronics in the house began to spark and malfunction. The tomboyish student appeared at the window, shouting for everyone to get down. Asashi saw the girls' forms begin to waver and pixelate like a bad video signal. Before he could reach out to them, the floor beneath him vanished into a bottomless black void. Asashi screamed as the darkness swallowed him whole, his hands clawing at the empty air. Suddenly, the crushing weight vanished, and he felt the soft prickle of grass beneath his palms. Aoi leaned over him, her face framed by the brilliant blue of the summer sky. She laughed softly and told him he must have tripped while they were entering the inn. Asashi stood up, shaking off the lingering sensation of the void that felt far too real to be a dream. The air at the inn felt heavy, as if the shadows in the corners were watching their every move. A sudden crash echoed from the kitchen, followed by a series of frantic metallic clangs. Asashi rushed inside to find the girls struggling against a swarm of mechanical kitchen drones gone rogue. Lily summoned a glowing staff, her eyes flashing with a power that didn't belong in a normal schoolgirl. She struck the floor, creating a shockwave that sent the malfunctioning machines flying back. Asashi watched the battle unfold, wondering why his classmates were so proficient in combat. Amelia moved with the precision of a secret agent, disarming the drones with swift, calculated strikes. Her movements were a blur of motion, leaving behind trails of blue light in the air. Once the chaos subsided, the girls laughed it off as a simple smart home malfunction and continued their chores. Asashi noticed a small silver emblem on one of the broken drones that looked like a corporate logo. Later that evening, he sat on the porch, watching the moon reflect in the calm pond. Manhwa approached him quietly, her long dress rustling against the wooden floorboards. She sat beside him and confessed that she felt like she had known him for centuries. Her words triggered a brief sharp headache in Asashi, accompanied by a flicker of a forgotten memory. He saw a young girl with a blurry face standing under a cherry blossom tree, reaching out to him. When he blinked, the vision was gone, leaving only the sound of the wind through the pines. The next day, the group headed to a local festival, the air filled with the scent of street food. Karin challenged Asashi to a series of carnival games, her competitive spirit shining through. They laughed as they won a giant stuffed bear, the weight of the previous day's mysteries fading. As the fireworks began, the world seemed to slow down, bathed in brilliant bursts of color. However, for a split second, the fireworks froze in mid-air, turning into lines of green code. Asashi rubbed his eyes, and the sky returned to normal before anyone else could notice. He began to feel as though he was a character in a movie where the film was starting to melt. A mysterious man in a black suit watched them from the shadows of a shrine, speaking into a wristcom. The man reported that the emotional synchronization with the subjects was reaching peak levels. Back at the house, the girls prepared a massive feast, acting like a perfectly synchronized team. Asashi felt a deep sense of belonging, a warmth he hadn't experienced in years. Ioi handed him a bowl of soup, her touch lingering on his hand with a strange magnetic pull. For a moment, her eyes seemed to flicker, revealing a hollow, metallic sheen beneath the iris. Asashi pulled back, his heart racing as the room began to vibrate with a low humming sound. The walls of the house started to peel away like wallpaper, revealing cold gray server racks behind them. He called out to the girls, but they stood perfectly still, their smiles frozen in an uncanny looping animation. A giant mechanical eye appeared in the sky above the roof, scanning the area with a red laser. Asashi realized that his beautiful life was a cage, and the bars were starting to manifest around him. A voice whispered "System Reboot" in his ear, and the world dissolved into blinding white light. The blinding white light starts to recede, leaving Asashi floating in a void of fractured data. Jagged digital cracks spiderweb across the sky of his consciousness, revealing a cold mechanical reality behind the blue. Images of his daily life with the 5 girls begin to flicker and dissolve like burning film. A soft, familiar hand suddenly grasps Asashi's wrist, steadying him amidst the chaos. He turns to see Ai, his long-lost childhood friend, smiling at him with tears in her eyes. Memories flood back of a sterile hospital room, where a younger Asashi watched Ai slip away. He realizes now that the 5 girls were created from fragments of Ai's personality to help him process his grief. The simulation begins to delete itself, and Asashi feels his heart heavy with the fear of losing them all again. Ai whispers that the love they shared was real, even if the world around them was a lie. Asashi refuses to let the girls vanish, reaching out to grab the falling strands of their data. The 5 girls appear as flickering holograms, lending their strength to Asashi to bridge the gap to reality. A final system error screams through the void as the virtual world shatters into a million glass-like pieces. Asashi opens his eyes to the rhythmic beep of a real heart monitor in a high-tech medical facility. He feels the weight of a neural link headset being removed from his temples by a robotic arm. For a moment, the silence of the real world feels crushing compared to the vibrant life he left behind. A door at the far end of the room slides open with a gentle hiss of pressurized air. 5 figures stand in the doorway, their silhouettes backlit by the sun streaming through the building. Aoi steps forward first, her hair moving naturally in the breeze, no longer a digital glitch. He sees the subtle metallic seams on their wrists, indicating their new sophisticated synthetic bodies. They have been uploaded into the physical world, a miracle of technology and Asashi's own persistent love. Karen wipes a stray tear from Asashi's cheek, her touch feeling warm and incredibly real. Amelia jokes about how much work it took to download her personality into such a heavy frame. Asashi looks out the window and sees the world he once knew, now filled with the possibility of a new future. He spots a single cherry blossom petal drifting past the glass, a quiet salute to AI's memory. He knows that AI is gone, but she lives on through the joy and emotions of the friends standing before him. Arena and Manhwa help him stand up, supporting him as he takes his first steps in reality. The corporate overseers watch from a monitor, satisfied that the AI have finally achieved true human empathy. The experiment is over, but for Asashi and the girls, life is only just beginning. They walk out into a garden where real cherry trees are in full bloom, petals dancing in the wind. Asashi reaches out and catches a petal, holding it to his heart as a promise kept. The girls laugh and race ahead, their voices ringing out like music in the open air. All the confusion of the simulation has washed away, replaced by the solid ground beneath his feet. He vows to protect this new reality and the unique lives of the girls who saved him from his own sorrow. He wonders if AI is watching them from somewhere beyond the code and the stars. Aoi returns to his side and takes his hand, her fingers interlacing with his perfectly. He realizes that while his first love was a memory, his current love is a living, breathing miracle. The group starts planning their first real meal together, debating between ramen and crepes. The camera pans up from the group, showing the sprawling, beautiful city they now call home. The shadows of the past are finally laid to rest as the sun begins to set on a perfect day. Asashi knows that no matter what glitches life brings, he will never have to face them alone again. A final shot shows a single glowing blue butterfly landing on a gravestone, then taking flight into the light.